I'm about to beg for your forgiveness. You might not have heard, but there is a polar vortex in the American Midwest, meaning that it has been consistently like below -40 in especially the state that I live in. I live in Minnesota and it's been real cold. So if you hear my heater in the background, I just can't turn it off. It is real cold. Hey guys, it's Bree. I hope you're having a fantastic reading week. Let's go ahead and talk for a hot second about the books I'm going to read in February. So let's go ahead and start with the first book on my list. It is Orbital Cloud. I'm literally just finishing this book up and I'm loving it. This was a patron pick for January. I'm feeling a little bit bad that I have not quite finished it, but also I've been just savoring it as I read. It is a story about essentially like a mysterious object appears in the atmosphere, or not quite the atmosphere, in low Earth orbit. And the entirety of the Western universe is trying to figure out what in the world it is. It turns out it might be based on some science from an Iranian, like, super obscure PhD candidate who just received his PhD. It is an adventure. It's a little bit science fiction, a little bit like CIA mystery story, and it's been really engaging. And Fuji's, like, his descriptions of the science are broken down in a way that almost anybody could understand. I've been like super impressed with this book so far. It is what I am doing for the rest of the night after I'm done filming this, so I'm gonna have this done soon. My focus for this month is reading YA books, which is not my usual. But with the Lodestar being its first year at the Hugos, the Lodestar is the YA category, I really want to catch up on some of the things that, even though I might not nominate them, are listed as contenders. I've been looking at the Lady Business spreadsheet, which is all of the Hugo eligible stuff for this last year. I'll go ahead and link it down below. But I really want to knock a couple of these out of the park. Some of these, as I went to the library, because I don't have like the YA hookups to get review copies, so I went to the library, of course. And I picked up a bunch of these. Some of these are not actually 2018 releases. Some of these are just things that I saw and I was like, oh, I love Frances Hardinge. So I grabbed it off the shelf while I was there. The good news is that because they are YA, they probably won't take me terribly long because the font is really large and the content is not necessarily as heavy as in a lot of adult books. So I'm hoping to knock quite a few off my list. We're gonna start with one that is not eligible that I love Frances Hardinge. And this is A Face Like Glass. I don't know anything about this book, but I have read a good handful of Frances Hardinge books in the past, and I just love everything that I've read of hers so far. I read The Lie Tree, I wanna say year before last, and it was just fantastic. And I've like binged a couple of things that she's written since then. So I saw this on the shelf, I grabbed it. Hashtag sorry not sorry. So the next thing I'm going to read is The Apocalypse of Elena Mendoza. This is by Sean David Hutchinson. I know that he's a name in SFF. This in particular was recommended to me off of that Lady Business list. I talked to a couple of different people and they said this might be one to keep an eye on for the Hugos, so it is one that is on there. Let me go ahead and take a quick second to read the inner chapter of this. So this story is about a girl who's the result of parthenogenesis, which is not really a thing that happens to mammals. It much more happens to like reptiles and amphibians, but that is when the only parent to a child is the mother. Essentially, two of the mother's X chromosomes, I guess, would merge together to create the child. In this case, that is Elena Mendoza, and she maybe has magic powers and is going through also regular life issues. But the story summary starts with Elena Mendoza as the child of a virgin birth. So, you know, we're not holding back on this one. The next book I have picked up is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. The whole world seems to love Brandon Sanderson. I have traditionally not been a big Sanderson fan, but I know that this will probably make it onto the Lodestar this year. And so I'm gonna pick it up. It's been a good couple of years since I've read a Sanderson, so we're gonna give it a shot. I will let you know what I think about this, and I'll probably not hold punches back. The other book I for sure have on my list is Winter of the Witch. This is by Catherine Arden, and she's fantastic. I've loved literally everything I've read by her so far. I'm gonna read this too. And so that leaves me with one last spot on my list, and that is going to be my patron pick. I don't have the final ballot or tally in by any means yet. As I am filming this, actually, it should go up live tonight. But I did grab the books that are going to be pulled for. So if you want to go ahead and pick this book out for me, which I would appreciate because there's so many good books in the world, you can go on over to my Patreon and help me out there. So let's go ahead. The options for my patron book for the month includes the Halcyon Fairy book. This is by Ursula Vernon, also called T. Kingfisher. That's her middle grade name. I read Summer in Orcus last month and really liked it, and this is a short story collection of hers. It is a collection of annotated fairy tales and the complete Toad Words anthology. But I would look forward to reading that. I really like what she has created so far, and also Ursula Vernon is a chicken lady like me, so she's pretty awesome that way. I have read Moon by Stanley Robinson. I really love Robinson's work. I've read a bunch of his stuff in the past. In fact, 2143, I want to say, is the next one that I have on my for sure to read list, but that is hidden downstairs somewhere in my giant pile of TBR books. So this is the book that is his most recent release, and that is up for a vote. I have In the Eye of Heaven by David Keck. This is a military high fantasy story, which is totally outside the realm of my normal. But I got sent all 3 of the books in this trilogy, and he just wrapped up with the most recent book, the 3rd book that was the final one, this last month. I want to say it was released. And I realized I have a big hole in my reviewing queue that is all high fantasy. And then the last book I have is Erika Cordova's Bruja Born. This is the sequel to Labyrinth Lost. It's kind of in that same world of Hispanic girls who find out that they're witches, and they have like a secondary portal fantasy type deal going to what's essentially the realm of the dead. I really like the first one, and this has actually been out for a long time. This particular version is an ARC. You can kind of tell because the back does not match up with the regular print book. But I have not read this one yet, and I have been meaning to. I really quite liked the first one. So one of those books will eventually be selected as my patron pick for the month of February. And until then, I have these 4 to keep me company. Let me know if there's any of these that you would like to see a review of. Let me know if any of these is on your TBR. Go ahead, let me know what you're reading in the comments section down below. You guys know the drill. Go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know what you're reading, what you're thinking. And if you want to support this channel, you can go on over to my Twitter or Instagram and support me there by following me. Or you can go on over to my Patreon and you can become a patron. Patrons get to help me pick, of course, a book for the month. I'll talk to you guys pretty soon.